He's at home. Well, that is John Lobel, and he is a council member with Situate.
Hello?
But he's handicapped right now. Homebound. So he's able to.
That's what that is. I thought it was.
And then the public can call in too.
Right, right. It came in pretty clear.
Like anything else on the internet, sometimes you can challenge it, but yeah, that was nice and clear.
Hours around town, they go all around the city. And I said, I had no problem. I'm glad he had to wait here. First I brought her to the dentist, then I brought her to the bank, and then there's stuff to do. We went inside the bank, which was a good thing because he updated
Thank you.
her identification.
I'm Ed Grondelski, Chairman of the Town Council, and I want to call this meeting to order. First thing, we'll have a prayer from Pastor Joseph Ballinger.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, that you hear our prayers. You know who we are. We are your creation. You are the Creator. We know that you give wisdom to those who ask for it, and we ask, Lord, that those who are in this room tonight would, in a spirit of unity, work together, that your kingdom would come and your will be done among us. Give wisdom to those who need to make good decisions this evening, that it would come with great thought and great effort. We pray, O Lord, that your hand would be with them and that you would watch over this meeting tonight, that your kingdom would come and your will be done here in this place. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please stand, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure. This is going to Dave Griffiths.
This is for you, Dave. That is for Dave.
Okay. Roll call. All councilors are present. John, are you on?
I am here, John Lavelle.
Okay, all councilors are here. Item 5.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to move item 15A to after citizen statements and petitions.
Hold on just a second. 15A. Okay, to item, you want to make that item 8A?
Yes, please.
I didn't hear that.
Yes, please.
Okay. Second. To move item 15A to after.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Any objections? Okay, we're moving 15A to 8. It'll be a new 8A.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
in light of the Board of Ed liaison is in the audience, I'd like to recommend moving 11A up after the presentations.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
You, okay, you want to run 11A to where? I didn't get that.
After 6B presentations.
After 6B. Okay, we have a motion by Tammy, a second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Okay, we gotta put. Move to 6C.
You're almost done. Click the download tab top right to continue.
Okay. Any other motions to change our order of events? Okay, we'll move on. Item 5. I'd like a motion for the adoption of minutes of previous meetings.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ula, second by Tammy. Any comments? Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Item 6, presentations and proclamations. Presentation of Killenly Parks and Recreation 2025 Volunteer of the Year. Okay. Come on, fingers.
Is he going to read the proclamation?
Do you want to speak first, or do you want to?
I figured I'd let you read the proclamation. and
Okay,
then
all
I'll-
right, okay.
Oh, there's no, oh, that's it?
No, we got to get,
You're off the hook.
I don't,
No, you're all set. I'm just going to speak.
okay.
You're off the hook.
Oh, okay.
So, council members, good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Bucky Lobush. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director in Killingley. My favorite night to be here, obviously, giving awards to volunteers, which we all know are extremely difficult to find. Yet every year, at least for the last 4 years, I've stood up here and been able to give 2 Volunteer of the Year awards to different people every year, which is tremendous in our community. Our first Volunteer of the Year, Suzanne Easterly. Those of you that are Killingley residents know that Suzanne has been here pretty much her entire life and has been a part of Killingley Parks and Recreation for many years. Was always involved in our community theater, and then transitioned into her senior years as an incredible storyteller for our senior programs. If you ask how good is Suzanne, try and get a ticket or a reservation to our Stew and Story programs. Always sold out with a waiting list, which is another reason why we can't wait to get to Westfield for a bigger cafeteria to accept more people. Every year I stand up here and present this award, and every year I am honored and amazed at how incredible the people of Killingley really are. Suzanne, thank you for being a huge part of the success of Killingley Parks and Recreation Department. I will once again say that we cannot do what we do at the level we do it without our volunteers. So thank you. Suzanne's going to say a few words.
Thank you. It is my honor to receive this award to my adopted community. I'm from New Jersey, as you can tell, and David and I have lived here for these past, 50 years, and we have been very proud to make Killingley our home. We have been educators in the town. I taught at the high school for 35 years. My husband was principal of the junior high for 14 years. We raised our daughter. We raised our grandchildren who attended schools here. We have become part in all of activities. And we are very proud to be here. And to borrow a caption from Killingly High School, we're proud Colonians. And thank you very much for this. I am quite honored. Thank you. And the next story is May 4th, and it's really funny, so you should definitely make a reservation. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're gonna take a pic.
Oh. Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
You have the floor again.
Thank you, sir. Our second Volunteer of the Year award, we actually added last year, I think it was last year, a separate award for theater volunteers. As you all know, our theater program is one of the best in the area. And we do 100% of our theater program with volunteers. No one is paid. That goes for sets that are put together. That goes for the director, the music, and our choreographer, Carrie Dana, who is our Theater Volunteer of the Year. Our little theater on Broad Street is 100% run, like I said, on volunteers. Carrie has been an active part of Northeast Connecticut Community Theater and Dance for over 30 years. Her commitment to providing positive energy and exceptional leadership elevate every production she is part of. Our productions take a lot of time and effort, especially our children's productions. At this time, I'm going to ask Holly Blade, our theater director, to come up and say a few words about Carrie.
Good evening. So I have been running the Little Theater on Broad Street now. This is my 9th year with Natasha and myself. As Bucky said, everyone in our program is volunteers. They are the people that show up before the curtain rises. They stay after the applause fades. They paint the sets. They sew the costumes. They teach the choreography. They run the lights. They move the props. They sell the tickets, and they lift each other up when the work gets hard. They give their time, their creativity, and their hearts so that the theater can continue to create magic. A community theater only survives when people believe in it enough to give themselves, and for decades, this theater has been blessed with volunteers who do exactly that. Tonight, we are going to celebrate Carrie Danner, who has been doing that for 30 years. Carrie's journey began with the theater 3 decades ago when she first stepped onto the stage at Brigadoon. Since then, she's become one of the most important creative forces, not only here at the Little Theater, but across theaters and schools throughout Connecticut. For more than 20 years, Carrie has been a premier choreographer, shaping productions with her talent, discipline, and artistry. Her work has been seen in countless productions, including Mary Poppins, The Addams Family, The Wizard of Oz, Guys and Dolls, Willy Wonka, and Annie. She's also the lead choreographer for Plainfield High School. Her choreography has also graced the stages of Griswold High School, Woodstock Academy, Wallace Middle School, Stonington High School, Hartford Children's Theater, and many other theaters, including the Bradley Playhouse, Break-a-Leg Productions, Chestnut Playhouse, and then, of course, right here at the Little Theater on Broad Street. Carrie's training is as impressive as her resume of shows. She studied extensively with Louis Pabon Dance Arts Center. She was named National Dance Champion. She has shared her knowledge by teaching dance classes and workshops at the Putnam Dance Center, Killingly Parks and Recreation, Northeast Academy Elementary School, and she continues today as a dance instructor at DanceWorks. She's no stranger to the stage herself. Some of her favorite roles were Guinevere in the Camelot, Sophie and Neil Simon, Star Spangled Girl, and Cinderella and Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella. But as impressive as all of that is, and as much effort as all of that took, the people who know Carrie personally know that the resume is only part of her story. What truly sets Carrie apart is who she is in the theater space and in the rehearsal room. She brings her spirit and positivity, and she lifts up everyone around her. She walks in every single day prepared, organized, and ready to solve whatever challenges the production throws at her. and she's one of the most capable, thoughtful, and prepared people you'll ever meet. But more than that, she's a good friend, she's a good woman, she's a good mother, and she's a great wife. She cares deeply about the people she works with, and she encourages all of our young performers. She supports the directors, she collaborates and designs, and somehow she manages to make even the hardest choreography feel possible. She doesn't just teach dance. She builds confidence, she builds teamwork, and she helps turn a group of individuals into an ensemble. Quite simply, she adds something special to every production she touches, and without her, our season would not be what it is. So Carrie, thank you for the countless hours, the endless creativity, the patience, the leadership, and the heart you've given the theater for the past 30 years. Your dedication has helped shape the stage, the company, and the community, and tonight it's our honor to celebrate you. You're in the way, buddy.
We'll get you your plaque.
Thank you.
You want to say a few words?
I'll keep it brief. I know you have a long evening ahead of you. Thank you so much for this recognition. I say often, not just theater, but in this case for sure, theater saves us all in some way. There's a place for everybody in theater, whether it's on stage, off stage, in the audience. There are just so many ways that people can be included and feel like they're a part of something special. Holly and Natasha certainly bring that every day in every way that they do. They create magic, and they create people walk out better than they walked into a space. So I thank you for that, and for Bucky to allow that type of creativity and to create a safe space for a lot of people to be, especially in this day and age. Everybody needs that safe scape and the people that believe in them to do their best. So that is very much what Little Theater is all about, and I'm really honored tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Town Council.
Moving on, item 7, unfinished business for town meeting action. None.
Mr. Chairman, there was, they approved the move an item ahead of the BOE
Oh,
liaison.
thank you. I got it, yeah, okay. We will have item 11A. Hang on. Board of Education liaison report. Sorry, thank you.
So, that's a tough act to follow. What? Oh, okay. Get comfortable. Stay a while.
All right, good evening, council.
Oh, it's different than ours, sorry. Tammy, thanks for pushing us forward. So just a few things with the board. We approved the last day of school, so knock on wood. The students will be out Wednesday, June 17th, and the teachers will be out Friday, June 19th, which they are thrilled about. So I hope I didn't jinx it. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock is the Folk Award reception at the central office conference room where we have the Board of Ed meetings at 6 o'clock. It's a terrific event, and they have great grants for all of our teachers and students. And then moving forward with budget goodies, tomorrow's meeting, the board will be voting to adopt the 26-27 budget. So we're going to see how it goes from there. That's all I have on that. Any questions on that stuff from anyone? No? Good. And then Andrea Drake is our assistant superintendent, and she's here to answer any questions about the roof at KIS.
One comment the other day, there was a comment about the roof being only a 10-year roof, but the roof is actually done. The roof is actually done in 2000, so it's the 25-year life, so it had its lifetime. Other than that, I don't have any, unless you guys want to give us some additional information.
I can share a little bit of a history if you'd like.
Whatever you know,
I'm happy
please
to share.
do.
Yes. So I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Operations at KPS, and I just started in November, so bear with me. I had to talk to quite a few people to get the backstory on the KISS roof. So as we know, KISS was built back in 1988, 89. There was roof concerns early on, and a full roof replacement was done. We're looking at possibly 2009 as the time frame when that full roof replacement was done. And then following that, possibly around 2012, 2013, the entire front part of the roof was replaced along with insulation in the second floor classroom wing. We believe this was an insurance claim at the time. So this goes back, there's a history of concerns with the KISS roof. There have been repairs done in April 2017 with replacing missing roof shingles and repairing failed gutters. And then in July 2018, again, removing existing broken and missing shingles and installing new shingles. It's been on the Killingly Public Schools Capital Improvement Plan since 2021, and there was a request to insulate the roof before that. In 2022, we did have a consulting company, Suska Roof, come out and give us a full assessment and pretty much tell us really what needs to be done with the roof. So I do have that if anyone is interested in taking a look at that. Like you said, there was questions about whether a warranty still exists, and it sounds like that time has elapsed. But I'd look for the town for more information as it relates to that as well. In 2024, we did get estimates for more extensive roof repairs. And the information we received was that roof shingle repairs would cost around $357,000. And then more recently, in November of this past year, there were some concerns with the auditorium roof at KISS, and we got a quote to just replace the auditorium and art hall wing roofs. That was around $60,000. We also received some quotes for insulation needs in the auditorium, but there's some water damage in the auditorium staging area where the orchestra typically would be, so that area is not being used right now in the KISS auditorium. And then most recently, in this past winter, as you know, has been quite severe for us, and in February we've had some active ceiling leaks with water breaking through tiles and disrupting instruction, where we've had to relocate some classrooms. That's in the 200 wing, and that's also in another section of the building, 138, 139 classrooms. At that time, we also, I spoke with the Northeast Department of Health and spoke with the Director of Health just to get some information as to, what next steps needed to be done in terms of making sure our school's safe. And so at that point, we did a building walkthrough with myself, the superintendent, the town building official, inspector, deputy marshal, and members of our maintenance department. There were no safety or electrical structural concerns noted, but just some steps that we could take to make sure that the area was safe. So this is a pressing concern that we're bringing forward. We brought this forward to our facilities committee and to the Board of Ed on February 11th, and the Board of Ed moved forward the KISS roof via the capital improvement plan, and then we shared this pressing concern with the town manager and town council to note that these are some pressing concerns regarding our KISS roof.
Given the comments we have right now, I would like a motion to move item 15B to the present. Then we can.
Moved.
A second? So we can discuss the roof replacement at this point in time. Do we have? We have a motion by Dave, second by Tammy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, so we will. Comments on the roof. We have willing personnel here, so if you have any questions, go ahead, Dave.
So is it just that room that used to be used as a dance room, or is it classrooms also?
It's both classrooms, multiple classrooms that are impacted, as well as our auditorium stage. So it's preventing us from holding large-scale events like that would require the full stage of the auditorium.
Is it ceilings too?
Ceiling tiles, yep, ceilings. It's water leaking through the roof.
So you already have a full estimate of what it costs?
We have an estimate from 2024 for roof shingle repairs. We don't have an estimate for a full roof replacement. We have an inquiry for that, but my understanding is that would come from the bidding process through the town, is my understanding. But we have sought that information so we can get some numbers preliminary.
Thank you.
Just some clarification, you said there was a full roof repair in 2009?
That's my understanding, as has been reported to me. There's people looking into this to try to go back as far as we can, and there might be people from the town that may also have that information as well.
Well, I checked with I guess I made a phone call, and we went to the town building office, and there was a full replacement in 2000, 2001.
Okay.
And then we've had these other.
Very early on then.
Yes. And then we've had, I guess, recurring issues since then.
Yes, that's what I'm hearing.
I think I'll leave that. Brian, now, to get an estimate, don't we have to go to the Permanent Building Commission first? Is that where this would go to get to? I mean, I see something here that we should wait. It says something about table it until we get a full estimate, but we need to send it to the Permanent Building Commission to get that, even to get that estimate, or what is your?
No, so usually the estimate for a project cost comes from the department that's sponsoring the project and making the request. And that's used to decide whether we can make an appropriation or we need to go to the voters for a bond. And it's not until after an appropriation is made based on the estimates that we received that a building project gets turned over to the Permanent Building Commission for them to bid.
Okay, so we have.
And then construct. So the estimate has to come first.
Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
So you're required to get 2 estimates too?
Try that again?
2 estimates on the roof?
2 or 3 would be the first.
2 or 3? And then it would go to the Permanent Building Committee?
Someone has their mic on. Again. So it depends on the amount, and I'm assuming that with a roof of this size, that the amount is going to be something that we cannot appropriate from our cash reserves that we're going to have to borrow for. So in this case, I think some groundwork needs to be done to firm up an estimate that we can rely on and put to the voters for them to approve for bond authorization.
I mean, in '24, your estimate for shingles was almost $500,000. I mean, that's 2 years ago. I mean, the costs of we're probably looking at close to, did anybody spitball a number, do you? I'm thinking $1 million would be closer to.
It is going to be, yes, quite higher than that, because that quote is just for shingle repair, like you know, and this is a very large roof.
So I guess what we're gonna need is. So the Board of, I think what we're gonna need to do is table this item for tonight, or not act on it, and request that the Board of Education get 3 full roof estimate repairs from what Brian is saying, and then we can give it to the Permanent Building Commission to work on. Go ahead.
I think that's pretty accurate. I think, there's time during the budget process when we get those estimates back. If it needs to be an appropriation or a bond, we can consider that in the budget process before we get to annual town meeting. And if it does need to be a bond issue, you'll have time in April to put that on as a question for annual town meeting.
Yeah, so this wouldn't affect. So, okay, so the time frame, well, it's in the Board of Education's ballpark to move this along, but as far as for us to proceed with this, I think we can take no action.
And that's right around the corner. Is it reasonable that they can get 3 estimates in that short of a time between now and April?
I think it's possible to get an estimate.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Probably
I guess
have to scramble
we're
and
kind of
get
under
some
the gun.
people out there, make some calls, get an estimate. Doesn't have to be 3, but more than 1. If you get more than 1 and they look comparable, then you have a good number, right, from a reasonable contractor. So.
I know that metal roofs are very expensive, but would it be possible to also look at that as an alternative because of the ongoing problem with the shingles?
Yes, I can absolutely relay all this to our O&M supervisor, who will assist me in obtaining these quotes and look at various options. Again, that time frame, we'll try to. What's the date for that? If I had a hard date. Okay.
April 9th is
Yeah, I have
as of now.
I have a question.
Go ahead, John.
In planning for the replacement of the roof, has the Board of Education considered making the building more efficient, for instance, solar energy, et cetera?
Solar over there. You already have solar over there on one of the fields, correct?
I couldn't hear the full question. Can someone repeat that?
John, could you repeat your comment?
Has the Board of Education considered in the replacement of the roof taking advantage of efficient technologies like solar panels?
He's saying he wants sewer panels as part of the roof. I guess there's some metal panels, that another roof option.
Yeah, we haven't specifically discussed solar panels on the roof specifically. I know there's a solar field near.
Well, I think he's
right-
he's mentioning solar panels built into a metal roof structure, built part of the structure itself. That if you went like Wooler was talking about, a metal roof, but I think there's a solar
component.
portion, yes, right part of the roof itself. So it's not like a separate. I'm not familiar with that, but I think that's what he's referring to.
It's
But I
something that
think-
we can discuss with the companies as we're going through this process, but it's not something that we've explored. Our primary focus is looking at getting our classrooms functioning, but it's definitely something that we can look
No,
into.
okay, no, that's
Yeah.
what. Anything else, John?
Do you know what quality or classification shingle is being specified?
Well, they're gonna have to work on that with their contractor and with their people that are doing the estimates.
The difference, architectural shingles and 150 pounds shingle is quite different. I want to make it very clear what we present to the taxpayers. Thank you.
Yeah, he's looking at different types of shingles, and he would like to use the best quality shingles versus like the last time we used, I barely remember, but there were multiple proposals. There was a 50-year roof shingle in labor, and it was a 25 roof shingle in labor. We opted for the 25. and this is what we have sooner than later. So he's kind of recommend that we take something with a longer term, just for.
And again, that's something that I can ask.
Right, no, yeah, okay.
That we look into when we obtain those quotes. Yep, thank you.
Hi, this is John. In addition to that, the code requires a certain wind resistance of the installation of the roof. And that's a heavier shingle than installed on residential houses.
So, John, maybe what I think you're saying is that they should hire a roof consultant to give them some discretion or some leeway before they go out for bids? And that they
Does the
cover.
Board of Education have a on-call architect?
Well, we do have the 2022 consulting report that we absolutely can use to guide a lot of our, and that's fairly recent, having been done in 2022. So I think we could also use that as a guide in decision making.
Did you get that, John?
Yeah, are there any drawings that have been promulgated to detail the roof, new installation, so it doesn't leak?
I didn't get that, John. I didn't quite understand what you were saying.
Has any professional written up architectural specifications for the replacement of the roof? Details of places where you need a chimney cap or a chimney protection, etc.
The 2022 Suska roof consultation really is detailed with lots of pictures and specifics as to what needs to take place for repair. In terms of replacement, full roof replacement, that's a different story, and that's where we'd have to get that information when we go out to get the quotes.
And how does the public access those specifications or drawings?
They're not drawings, but there's like pictures of the roof and so forth, and we can definitely I can discuss ways to share this information.
So I think, John, we have to let them proceed with this so they can get more information, and then we can critique what they have at a future date. David?
I agree with Lou. I'd like to see an estimate on putting on a metal roof so we wouldn't have to keep going over the situation if it can be properly vented.
I agree.
Any other comments?
Thank you to the Board of Education for all the hard work they're putting into the new budget. That's much appreciated.
I guess you got your homework ahead of you. This is going to be it's a costly item, but something we have to get done. And I think we get the information and we can go from there. Thank you.
Just wanted to thank you, and I appreciate you hearing us and our concerns with the roof. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Let's see, where are we here? Okay, so item 7, no unfinished business for town council action. Item 8, citizens' statements and petitions. Pursuant to the town council rules of procedure, Article 4, Section 2, all presentations by citizens shall be limited to an aggregate of 45 minutes, and each citizen's presentation shall not exceed 5 minutes unless otherwise indicated by a majority vote of the town council. Public comment can be made in person, submitted by 2 p.m. the day of the meeting via email at publiccomment@killinglyct.gov, mailed to the Town of Kinley, Town Manager's Office, 172 Main Street, Killingly, Connecticut 06239, or put in the drop box on the side of the Town Hall. Public comment will be posted on the town's website, www.killenly.org. Okay, I have one item. I believe this is for public comment. It's from Ken Prescott. There are a couple of issues I'd like to bring up regarding consideration additions to the town. The library has become a default place of congregation to people both in the homeless shelter and the no-freeze shelter. While this places additional work on the librarians above and beyond their typical duties, it does provide this unique population access to Wi-Fi as well as a place to meet and socialize to their benefit and to the benefit local community. This is especially important during cold weather months, but there is a disconnect depending on the day. The library closes at 5 p.m., 6:30 p.m., 2 p.m., or is not open at all on Sunday. While the no-free shelter opens later at 8 p.m., there is an available community room in the library building to the right of the actual library area by the main entrance that could be used as a traditional space on weekdays that the library is open until the no-free shelter opens. The cost of this should be negligible. Cost of keeping lights on, Wi-Fi, maybe some coffee. And I propose it could be run or monitored by vetted volunteers of the town. Second item, a number of towns have EV electrical chargers available for public use, including Putnam and Pomfret. Obvious places to have these would be the public parking lot in downtown Danielson and the Danielson Library parking lot, as is done in Putnam. There are a number of charging networks available, though through commercial viability, the choices are being whittled down. The charging capacity is also a variable, though this may be dependent on the load capacity of the existing power lines as much as anything else. I believe this was looked at once before. Technology advances and another look is warranted. Thank you, Ken Prescott. Okay, anyone else? Public comment? You're welcome to the podium. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Justin Fisher, live at 94 Dam Road, Town Council Women and Men. Thank you for your time. Before I begin, Mr. Rivers, although it was shortly lived, the residents of Killingly truly appreciate your time on the council, and you will be your presence will be best. And just wanted to say that from us. To start, I want to briefly run through what exciting adventure is ahead for us tonight. We will be presenting an application to discuss the reclassification of the Whetstone Brook Drainage Basin. This application will allow us to hydrologically identify its critical role to our clean drinking water supply. But we'll return to that shortly now that I've got everybody on the edge of their seat. I'd like to reflect on how myself and many others like me all got here. This journey began on a Sunday morning with a slap to the face, figuratively speaking. None of us anticipated. Weeks later, we attended a meeting with Deep, an emotional one to say the least. Then a few of us came before this town council with questions. I remember sitting in the back of this room, shaking. I was so mad. But that frustration wasn't caused by you. I had done it to myself. It was my own lack of understanding of this process. Like many of us, I had always the assumption that because it wasn't directly in my backyard, it couldn't be that serious, and that assumption didn't last long. Each of you sitting in these chairs tonight in front of us gave us tasks, small steps to help you help us. You've told us you felt limited in what you could do because of the state of Connecticut, and that you weren't sure the broader community cared. So we got to work. We were asked if we were organized. We formed Killingly Clean Water Coalition, Keep Killingly Rural, and the Killingly Pond Residents Association. We were asked to be factual, not emotional. We built an educational website to bring our neighbors up to speed with facts and history in this town. We were asked for expert opinions, and we are still blessed today with Charles and many more like Charles. We were asked to be more involved in this town. We've not only attended these meetings consistently, but we've brought positive awareness to this community, much needed communication to our residents and neighbors. We were asked to document our findings. We have 40 years of constructive abandonment documented. documented. And now we're here today because of a potential loss of life or property. You don't say. We were asked for public comment. Stack of papers over there. I'm sure Ashley had a hell of a time printing them out today. I'm sure it speaks for itself. We were asked if we had a petition. I got 1,700 signatures right now. I could keep going. We've done everything asked of us. At some point, some form of answer or assurance from the town council would mean a great deal. We've come to you for guidance and support. This process has been exhausting for everybody in this room and at their homes. But I truly want everybody to think about this right now. Killingly Pond, named after our town. It formed our town. There's evidence to it. Killingly Pond State Park. What are we doing here? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gene Lero, 156 Pond Road. Nearly 98.6% of the land surrounding Old Killingly Pond was gifted to the state of Connecticut State Park. That alone reminds us how important this place is and how it's been important to generations. I'm here tonight in support of the application before you. In many ways, it reminds me of a prescription or a rehabilitation plan. Sometimes a patient needs the right diagnosis, the right treatment in order to recover and move forward stronger. I believe this is where the town of Killingly is and where we find ourselves today. You'll hear from doctors and nurses who understand the importance of this application. They see every day how clearly clean water is responsible planning for the health of our community. The public has been paying attention. On social media alone, there have been 626,000 views since the draining of that dam. Hundreds of comments, positive comments, for the benefit of the community. People are educating themselves on the facts of record and what's at stake here at the town of Killingly. I believe we're here at a tipping point. Tonight gives you the opportunity to do the right thing and be on the right side of history. By taking thoughtful action and protecting our community and our natural resources, we respectfully ask for your support. This is truly a moment where the town of Killingly needs all hands on deck. The legacy that we create here is not only for us, but it belongs to our children, our grandchildren, who will inherit these decisions that we make today. I'd like to sincerely thank the members of the town council for their time, their effort, and their fiduciary responsibility on behalf of the citizens of the town of Killingly. I too genuinely appreciate everything that you do and how challenging it is with lots of moving parts. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for listening to us. We're going to miss James, and I hope John feels a lot better too, so we can come back down here, because we're going to miss. We're missing these guys. It's Al Dufresne, 148 Pond Road, Dayville, Connecticut, last Green Valley, Quiet Corner. Tonight, I'm going to be talking 2 times because it's 2 different issues. First thing I'm going to be talking about is 136 Putnam Pike, that's right where 90 Putnam Pike is, and we have Jen, St. Vincent, and Peter Bernard. Their proper, you know, I know it's a different thing. It's the zoning, you know, planning and zoning and all that. I get that, but you know what? We got to protect these people. Okay, there are citizens of our town, and they're hard workers. They came down from Rhode Island. I know you know who they are now, but you know, they really got a situation over there where they want to put this thing right in their backyard. You know, and there's water issues over there. You know, maybe that's wetlands problem, but I mean, there's water pouring down that hill. I went over there today with Jonathan Blake and the engineer, and they see, and there's a huge swale in there. It goes way up the hill. I don't know what kind of swale it is. It's natural or man-made. It's huge. We can't figure that one out. But the whole thing is, you know, did they even consider these people when they made these plans up for this distributions out there? Because I looked at the center line on the maps, on the engineering maps, and if you line up the center line with the middle of their property and the middle of that building, I swear you're going to need a scale to figure out, you know, how many inches that thing's off. It's like, you know, what do? Just draw a scale across and not even care about people's lives you're going to be destroying? They're going to be blowing up, you know, cutting ledge in there and dust, and there's going to be a wall in their backyard 25 feet high with tractor-trailer trucks across it, you know, and the water from the roof is going to come right back down, go under the parking area into holding chambers, and then it's going to come right back out into that swale that goes across their yard. You know, what I'm here for is to have you help protect these people, protect their lives, because it's going to mess their lives up. You know, I can see it. So that's why I'm here, you know. I'll be talking a little bit about Old Killenly Pond too, because I live there. So, but I want you to be looking out for these folks. They're citizens of our town, you know. Thank you.
My name's Rudy Laro, 979 Upper Maple Street, and I support this proposal. Thank you.
The GAA. This is the GAA. Yeah. I think Charlie would be talking about that. Good evening. My name is Susan Rosenstone-Laro. I live on 156 Pond Road. I've been part of this community since 1972, where I had the privilege of teaching at Killingly High School for 27 years. Generations of students have grown up here, and I believe that this town has always cared deeply about the people and its natural resources. I also support the GAA application before you tonight. As Kelly Fisher has stated, Old Killingly Pond is far more than just a pond. Killingly Pond is a crucial water source. It's used by swimmers, kayakers, and families who gather there to enjoy the outdoors and spend time together. But it is also something more. Killingly Pond is a critical water source for our fire departments, who rely on it for emergency water supply. It is also used for rescue training and emergency preparedness. Right now, because of the current condition, this resource cannot function the way it should. The fire department won't be able to use the water. This makes the situation not only an environmental concern, but a public safety issue as well. Please help us protect the water that helps feed and protect you. Help get the dam fixed. We respectfully ask for your support for the GAA upgrade and the efforts to repair the dam before it's too late. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good evening, Ian McDonald, 548 Valley Road. I too support this this water reclassification. I think it's we talk about people being involved and getting involved in the process earlier on, and I think this is one of those things where people are getting engaged very constructively, and I think it's looking through. Reading through our plan of conservation and development, I think this is fully in line with it, and I just say more specifically on Killingly Pond, that's both referenced, and the protection of these resources is referenced, and I'm very sympathetic to you guys that it's budget season, there's a lot going on. We just heard about the roof. We know there's a lot of trade-offs. There's a lot to think of on your on the balance sheet there, but I think sometimes it's important that we just step back and kind of take some stock of what may be the more obvious course of action here. And I think when you see that this resource that people have enjoyed for generations is now more of a pile of rocks than the pond that we once knew, I think. We want to be on team restore this pond and not team pile of rocks. And I think the difficulty comes in not so much that anybody here doesn't want to see that restored. I think it's more of a question of, where do you fit in? Where do you help there? And where do you not make, both protect the town, but also where do you get in, step in to really be helpful here? And I think that's what we're asking you to do is be helpful and do whatever you can. And I know sometimes you don't necessarily want to vocalize everything publicly for various reasons. And I know there's certain kind of avenues that are kind of preferable. We're getting into this permitting process. We certainly really appreciate any of your advocacy around this. I think everybody kind of feels like, well, what can I do? But as town councilors, you guys, your voice carries extra weight, probably more than anybody else here. So we really need you on board supporting this. And I think this reclassification, I was very impressed with all the work that went into it. And I don't think it's something I think it's very much in line with our current plan of conservation and development and our current zoning. So I don't think this is something that's going to be disruptive in any meaningful way. I think it's much more protective than disruptive. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Michelle Murphy, 325 Breakneck Hill Road. I just want to say I'm in support of the GAA upgrade for the water. Let's keep our water clean. Thank you.
Good evening, Claudette Rogers, 294 Putnam Pike, last Green Valley member and Quiet Corner member. I am here to talk about, to voice my voice for the next 7 generations. I, myself, take that as my my spiritual thing. I look for the next generation. I look for 7 generations back, 7 generations forward, and looking forward for our kids, our animals, our soil. I've been at many tables and talked to many people of our elders that have just rolled their eyes and chuckled at the way they used to do things, how they used to change their oil and dump the oil in their backyard. And I just think that we're at a time when we know better, we should do better. We should do better for our clean water, and we know that our aquifer is our clean water for thousands of people, but all along from O'Killingly Pond, all down the wetlands is a purification of our water that goes into our aquifer that services many animals, and there's been bald eagles out there. I don't know if you guys know this. We have bald eagles at Old Killenly Pond. We have bald eagles that live along the Whetstone Brook. We have 50-year-old turtles, huge turtles that live in Old Killenly Pond that I just cried because I didn't know if they made it through the winter. With draining that pond, if these turtles, I don't know how they live. Do they live if they drain the water and they freeze? Do they live? You know, I have to speak for the kids in the ones that can't speak, for all those families that can't be here tonight, that are at their kids' little league tryouts and stuff like that they can't be here to say we want clean water. Like, we already have, like I said, we have our towns, all our fuel is on our aquifer. All our fire departments, our KB, our buses, our town is right on top of our aquifer. And now you guys want to put this building that can't even hook up to city sewer. We're supposed to hook up to city sewer to wash our buses, to wash our trucks, it's not supposed to go into the aquifer. Like, we, as the town of Killingley, had to move our fuel tank above ground so it didn't leach into our aquifer, so we could monitor it and stuff like that. That's where it is right now. Above ground at the DOT building is where our fuel tank is. We don't know what's going up there. And I think it is not a wise idea to put something like that on top of our aquifer, besides, all the other issues. And I just know that on North Road, we have a thing called view taxes. And if we put this big warehouses at 90 Putnam Pike, that is going to ruin the view from North Road. So I think there will be some taxpayers that might have something to say about that. And I'm concerned for the Hideaway Cove State Line campgrounds that utilize Old Killenly Pond during their on-season, and of course the fire department for all their training and saving us when we start fires in our backyards. Thank you guys. I do appreciate you guys, and I do hope for our future generations that we look out for our aquifer and all the water and all the animals and critters in between there and there.
Good evening. I'm Sheena Rigerello from 65 Stone Road. I'm here tonight because protecting our town's drinking water should be one of the most important responsibilities of this council. Old Killenly Pond and Whetstone Water Basin is part of the natural system that helps recharge and protect the groundwater that this town relies on. Draining Old Killenly Pond isn't a small change. When you remove water bodies that feed into recharging areas, you risk altering groundwater flow, reducing recharge, and potentially impacting water quality over time. And once that balance is disrupted, it's not something that you can easily fix or reverse. Our aquifer is not a short-term resource. It's something that serves our community today and will need to serve generations after us. So I respectfully ask the council to deny and pause any permits that are negative, and I personally support the GAA proposal. Water is the most valuable resource that the town has, so let's make sure that we protect it. As far as 136 Putnam Pike and Jen St. Vincent and Peter Bernard and the 90 Putnam Pike distribution centers, I believe that it's going to destroy their land and their home, and the water that is going to flow down is going to not only cause huge problems on their home, but into the road and going into our town, beyond into the town, what is it? The town garage and where we keep our town buses and other town vehicles. So I just wanted to state that currently, and I'm against the town or the distribution centers on 90 Putnam Pike. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Angelina Wagner. I'm from Putnam. I know I'm not technically a part of your community, but with all the time I spend with your community members, I feel like I belong now. I was here around 5 months ago with the Fishers when the pond stuff first started, and I've watched over the last 5 months your community come together and not only stand with each other on various issues, but do the work, do the research, speak with experts, learn about the history of this community. And what's crazy to me is that the ones that are spearheading this are people that actually haven't lived here the longest. But they love this community so much, they love this area so much that they're willing to stand up and dedicate all of their free time to this. The amount of hours I've seen these people pour into this application, pour into research, pour into learning is that of a doctorate level. And I think that it would be smart to plan for the future, and that's what your community is coming together to do tonight in presenting this application for reclassification, is to plan for the future, because we don't want Killingly to stop growing. My family wants to move down here, but we want to be able to grow mindfully and in a way that preserves Killingly for future generations. Thank you.
Any further public comment?
This is John. Am I allowed to speak as a citizen rather than a council person?
Go ahead, John.
Okay. With regard to Old Killingly, I agree it's one of our valuable resources. Once it's gone forever. With regard to the warehouses, I've been involved in construction for 60 years. I built one warehouse this size. There are a number of issues that come to the fore with a building of this size, not the least of which is the size of the roof and the ability of the fire department to reach the middle portion of the building. So that begs questions like, what safety procedures will be in place for the occupants of the building? Also, well, where's all that water gonna go? The cistern they talk about, I've never ever seen anything built that way. Oh, by the way, this company, a year and a half old or so. It's not an old company. We need a calculation of all the hard surfaces that are now going to, if it goes ahead, and I don't support it, that where does all that water go? It cannot run off-site. If it runs off-site into a storm drain, that ends up in the sewer treatment plant. So where's the permit from the, discussion they've had with the water treatment plant? Historic preservation. I support the history of this town. Lived here most of my life, and there's a lot of history here. So I would request that the developer do a historic preservation, soil content, and environmental condition of the soil, as well as an environmental complete study of the site. And a broad category is the developer should be doing a complete environmental analysis of the site, which includes artifacts. This area was owned by Native Americans at one time. Are there any entitlements on this property that goes back to the time when the Native Americans owned the property? Fire protection to me is most important. I don't know how you would get people out of this building if the fire alarm went off, or smoke alarm, and you're in the middle of the building. What kills people in fires is not fire necessarily, it's smoke. It's smoke. And I know that they have said that they're going to put in sprinklers. Well, sprinklers do not put out fires necessarily. Sprinklers are in a building to allow for the safety of the people to get out of the building. It's a misnomer to think that sprinklers will provide the safety necessary for people that occupy the building in the furthermost center of the building. And last but not least, I don't believe we have any fire apparatus that could reach that far and put out a fire in the event that that occurs. And, and then there's the buffer zone, etc. There are a number of other things. So there are a lot of questions that can be asked by anyone who wants to ask. And last but not least is traffic and pollution. How much pollution comes off of these trucks? 75 days they're talking about. 75 for trucks to come in and out. So how much pollution does that cause? I would like to see an environmental study that includes the poison that will be going into the air for the local people, Yale Park, etc., etc. And there's plenty of other places to put this facility that would be more suitable, including we have several warehouses that closed over the past year. Consideration should be given to those facilities, although I'm familiar with these kinds of facilities. Almost everything from what I've seen is automatic. Truck drives in, it backs up, piece of equipment comes in, takes all the stuff off the truck, categorizes it, and puts it in a warehouse. That truck leaves and another truck comes in, and you got a picker that goes around the warehouse picking up what all those people need. Now, they're going to turn their truck off when they do that, but 75 days. How much pollution? Now, I know that Home Depot has several of these, but it shouldn't be very hard to put together all the documentation that I have mentioned and preserve, so we can preserve the open space we have there, as well as the potential aquifer. Who really knows where the aquifer is located? Yeah, sure, we have an inland wetland spot, but water moves around on the ground. It doesn't stay exactly where it is today. How are we going to know that the auto emissions and the fuel emissions that go up in the air, go up a certain amount and then come back down and pollute our water? That's the most precious thing that we have. Thank you for your time.
Ida Barris, 1123 North Road. Thank you, Mr. LaBelle. That was just really a lot of really good questions. I am for this redesignation of GAA, and I hope that you pass it as a first step to helping find some balance in all of these other things we're doing that are not necessarily environmentally advantageous. So this is a great first step to protect our waters and to think proactively instead of reactively. Thank you. Charles, I think it's your turn.
Jennifer St. Vincent, 136 Putnam Pike. I'm the person that everybody keeps talking about with the 90 Killenly Pike. I just want to clear it because apparently there was some confusion. I am 100%, 1,000%, 1,000,000%, my husband and I, against this project. There was something that had happened at a wetlands that I wasn't able to go because I had a virus. My husband went, put us in a really bad, uncomfortable situation. We've already brought it up to the town person, the head person. But I just wanted to clarify, like, we are 100%. We've been told that they are fixing things. We've never asked anybody to fix anything. We said we had an issue. The questions I was asking was, who was going to be responsible if the issues kept going? 3 years and 3 months that we lived here, nobody in the city, town, community knew anything about the water that we had in our property. Today, John Blake and I believe David, the engineer, came out, and David made a comment to my husband that they were aware of the water issues on our property, which is interesting because we didn't even know. Shouldn't that have been closed in when we bought our house? Never, all we knew is that there was an easement. And I would like you guys, if you want to, you can see it now. If you drove by our house, right at the beginning of our driveway, you'll see there's a mailbox. Go see the water that's pouring out of there right now. And that easement is not even cleaned out properly because half of that easement is not ours. It belongs to the other company and they have not maintained it. We have. We've maintained the drain and everything that is not on our property. But hey, we're good neighbors. We'll take care of it. We live there. They don't. There's nothing on there. But take a ride over there. I'm going to tell you right now, we got permission to clean the easement. It's going to cause a flooding at the bottom of that Route 12. It's so bad. When I was coming here, the water was literally pouring over the drain. It cannot even catch up. So I advise you guys just to take a ride and just stop, and you can go with your flashlight on your phone and look, and you guys are going to be like, wow. And then I don't know what they did up there a few months ago. The company, they blocked the easement. So now the water is outspurting on their property and coming all over my land. Again, who is going to fix this? Because now they're causing issues for my property. And now I'm afraid that this is going to affect my home. Now, a lot of you don't know, back in Rhode Island, we bought a home. American Dream turned into an American Nightmare. My kids had mold eating their intestines because the owner never told us about the water. What happened was a mile up the road, Shaw's got built over there. They thought they fixed everything. The whole neighborhoods behind there got flooded, and nothing was done for them. And it caused black mold. What was supposed to be 170 outside our home was 1,720 black mold. It was traveling up their spine, up at their intestines, and starting to affect their brains. They were 5 and 4. Thank God they're good now, but do you know how many nights I almost lost my jobs because I was in the hospital in and out with my children. They were literally, these are boys that were potty trained. They would get up and they would be diarrhea, everything, pillows soaked in blood. Now we're fearing that this could happen to this house, even though I spent $4,700 on all this kind of testing, the mold, the radon. Oh, and that's the other thing. So we bought radon systems. We're going to have the radon tested. The radon systems are now starting to beep. Why is this? We never had a problem until now. All of a sudden, they're touching up there, and our radon, and we paid $7,000 for water and an air radon for our home because it was so unsafe 3 years ago. And now the meters are going crazy. So we had to call somebody. It's going to cost us $1,000 for them to come and test the radon because of, we don't know. Because we haven't done anything. It's been snowing. We haven't done anything to our property. The only thing that's been done is on 90 Killenly Pike. There's been a lot of, we got video of, excavators, people walking back there, all that stuff. I have pictures, I've sent in videos, and it was funny because they're saying that they're fixing a problem. The videos we sent in was the bottom of our driveway and our rock wall that's right near our right on, like, part of our driveway. Nobody is talking about what happens in the middle of my land. I have pictures. I can show you at the other part of my driveway in front of my shed, it literally goes over my walkway. The water is just flooding everywhere. Again, never brought it to your attention because it's not affecting our home. But I will tell you this, once they start touching up there, blowing and everything, it's going to become an issue for us, a major issue. When we moved here, I will tell you, I'm with these people, the old Killenly Pond, we would make sure that we came in earlier when we were going to look at houses. We spent months and months, days and days, weeks and weeks. And we would just stop to see what animals were there. We loved it. We would take a couple minutes, just sit there, watch these animals. It was beautiful. This is when we knew this was going to be a great place. Then, again, I'm a Dunkin' girl. I went to the first Dunkin' Donuts on Main Street. There was a girl there, Carrie, loved her to death. There was another gentleman, and when I got in the car with my husband the first time, I said, this is the place. My husband says, I think so. The people around here were amazing. They were just so nice. Then we found our home, and we were told 54 acres. It's been protected. It's literally like living in Cinderella's dream, like Snow White's dream. We have animals everywhere, the birds. I thought we had one squirrel. I put a bird feeder out, and now I have 19. That's fantastic, though. I'm not going to lie. I love it. But I just wanted to let you guys know, like, please don't allow this to happen to us. Like, I feel like everywhere we're turning, what became another dream for us is becoming a nightmare again. Don't we catch a break? My husband and I worked so hard to get where we are. And we fell in love with this place because of the rural of it, because of the nature of it. And you know what? I come from the city. If I wanted to live city life, I would have stayed in the city. But this was the place we chose to be our home. And on that, I'm going to wrap it up. The GAA, I'm totally with them with that. I totally think that that should be approved, if you could. I appreciate your time, and thank you for everything you guys have done in the past, and hopefully in the future. Have a great night.
Any other public comment? I don't know how to handle this pile of emails. Are these on file with the town, or should I read everyone's?
All the members have copies. The file was uploaded to our website. There's a lot there.
And some is duplicated. I'm trying to, no, maybe I should go through the names who did support, whatever. They took the effort to put it out. I guess we'll bring it into the record. Okay, email from Carrie Demers regarding the.
Mr. Grondelski, you gonna read every one of those letters?
No, I'm just
into
gonna
the
read
record,
the
or-
name and just what, and yes, no, what, open to your.
I just don't think it's practical.
Can we take it up at our next council meeting after you had time to go through it?
I'm open to suggestions.
Mr. Chairman, just my thoughts on this, the hours are always late here. And we
Yes,
have
I understand.
haven't even touched this agenda, and I have a lot to say tonight, actually, that would be beneficial perhaps to some of the people that are here. But if we, you could essentially filibuster a meeting by setting a precedent here. If 100 people write letters and we're going to even acknowledge their name and the topic they're talking about, we'll never have a meeting. And I think we all have the packet. We can study it. This communication has been made to us. We could put it into the minutes, so it'll get out there for the rest of the public. So everybody's going to have it anyway. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. I think the consensus is we have it. It'll be part of the minutes. I appreciate everybody coming here, and I think we are aware of your concerns, and I think we need this to be reminded of what's going on. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion that this topic be a subject on the next meeting.
Anyone want to second that? I want to add that as the Old Killenly.
Just point of clarification,
John,
Mr. Chair, what topic?
Yeah, John, yeah, because there's multiple topics on here. There's the reclassification, there's the Old Killenly Pond Dam, there are the warehouses. So all of them are part of, they're on planning and zoning, they're on wetlands. It's an ongoing, these are ongoing issues. It's not something that's gonna stop today. So I think what we have here is, we have this list that will be part of the minutes for this meeting. I want to give people the chance to speak and whatnot, but this will be part of the record. And then we can proceed with our meeting. I think we have, we're looking at the reclassification of the water classification will be the next item on the agenda. And I don't want to say anything that, whoever wrote this, it's documented.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, let me, where's my, I lost my, okay, here we go.
It's your council and staff comments.
Well, no, we're gonna go 15A, we brought that up, so we're gonna bring item 15A to current, and that is the issue regarding the groundwater classification change. This is discussion for the, does anyone want to make, do I have a motion?
To do what?
Well, we
To
moved it.
discuss to discuss the reclassification.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I wasn't expecting a presentation. The presentations, I don't know, this is new territory to me at this point in the town council meeting.
Mr. Chairman, may I weigh in?
Yes,
Again?
sure.
I wasn't expecting a presentation either. We did get some information in the packet, which I haven't read through yet. And I believe staff has also weighed in to that document as well, which I'd like to study further. Usually presentations are scheduled under
Well, I think
presentations,
if-
and
if we had a
work it
present-
into the agenda, but I wasn't aware there was going to be a
I
presentation.
wasn't
on that.
either, and we would have to have a suspension of the rules of procedure to have a presentation at this time.
Could we have a clarification of what we're proposing?
Well, this is a council.
Okay.
I think they're here to present their request, and the information that was provided in the packet, that, looks like PowerPoint format or PDF or a combination thereof, was included to be explained to you, and they're here to talk to that.
I'd move to suspend the rules.
Yep, I second that.
Okay.
To listen
Well,
to the presentation.
No, I'm trying to follow some protocol. That's why that we are, just to.
Summarize what.
So, all in favor of suspending the rules to have a presentation?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, you're on. We did the business that we had to do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll make it quick, I promise. We know you guys are here all night. So tonight, we'll do it at a high level. Sorry, I'm trying to shoot from the hip at this point. We're asking to go from a GA groundwater standard that's along the Whetstone Brook drainage basin. The hydrology behind Old Killingley Pond being the headwaters that feed into the Whetstone Brook that feed into our protected aquifer. So high level of what we're asking to do with this application is to essentially, if you consider the aquifer as the primary zone, within that primary zone there are secondary zones. So in that aquifer, for instance, the 5 Mile River is a secondary zone to that aquifer, which the town of Killingley has an overlay protection on it in the zoning department. So this would essentially, this application, to our knowledge, would be the first of its kind in the state of Connecticut. Usually everybody wants to downgrade the classifications of water because we as humans have already destroyed it. So this is a proactive approach to protecting what we can't ever get back. And to our knowledge, there aren't any huge ramifications for any future development at all, if any. And Charles can speak on that more if you guys have questions.
Yeah, I should say, speak
Yep.
to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me just speak to that, just so, this is not a request for you to do anything more than to support the application, because the application is to the Connecticut Department of Energy Environmental Protection. It has nothing to do with your decision-making, but we believe that having the council support it is useful, because in proposing it to DEEP, they have to hold a public hearing, and they will then approve it. They'll look at those who are for, there are those who are against. But what we have in Connecticut is a system where most people don't really understand what a GAA is or a GA is. And I'll just read you what that definition is, because there's a distinction. And it doesn't create new problems for zoning. What we have in Connecticut is 166 towns that have GAA for watersheds. And then there's the 81 towns with aquifer protection areas that have GAA for those unique spots. And in this particular case, you know, the Hopkins Brook, Hopkins Aquifer is 404 acres in size. 68 of those acres happen to be part of the Whetstone Brook drainage basin. And yet, they're not listed as GAA, even though they contribute to that Hopkins Aquifer Protection Area. So the question is, why do we have this administrative fiction? Well, this administration fiction occurs across all of Connecticut. It's not that if you all of a sudden started putting PFAS into all of the Whetstone Brook, that it would not show up in the water of Hopkins Aquifer Protection Area. In fact, the fact that 68 of the 404 acres of that aquifer are the Whetstone Brook drainage part tells you what the problem is. And so here's what the definition is. GA groundwater can be made for several reasons if you want to do it. It's not you, but DEEP. One is existing or potential public supply of water suitable for drinking water without treatment and base flow for hydraulically connected surface water bodies. That's one reason. Another reason would be groundwater classified as GAA is groundwater used or which may be used for public supplies of water suitable for drinking water without treatment. It's not that you have to do it, that you enable it. It can be. And then 3, groundwater in the area that contributes to a public drinking water supply well, and there's also some of that going on now, even without this classification, but without the protection. And 4th, the groundwater in areas that have been designated as a future water supply in an individual water utility supply plan. Not that that's relevant, but 2 of those are at least relevant. And so really the difference between GA and GAA is that the GAA is intended for drainage basins or watersheds that either contributes to or could be a source of future public drinking water. In reality is when the Indians were here in the 1600s, this whole state was, if they even had a code, would have been called GAA. And this is what happens over time with degradation. And for those, and I've heard that there's concerns, 99% of the Whetstone Brook drainage basin is rural development and medium density development. That's 80,000 square feet or 30,000 square feet minimum. That's 99%. I did all the calculations on it. So yes, there are some other zones, the mill use, there's a little bit of commercial, general, little village commercial, a little business park, and a little bit of heavy industry, little snippets all on the western side. But 99% of this Whetstone Brook drainage basin is really suitable zoning. And I should say, because I've studied the whole state on this, watershed protection issues are part of I've been doing this for about 30 years, not only with the federal government and the state and regional government. I work independent of this pro bono work in Western Connecticut. And so there are a goodly number of towns that have commercial in a small portion or in industrial in a small portion. But what that means is it's not incompatible. It means that you just look at those uses that are put into those to make them compatible so that they take, and we take, the due diligence, which is at a zoning level. And the only thing on a downside is that when you have a GAA, the zoning commission must submit to the water utility and to the state Department of Health any development, normally commercial industrial, so that they get an advisory opinion. They don't have any trump card. It's all a local decision, but it allows for educated and enlightened thinking in the process. And that is what across Connecticut, by statute, everyone who has that has to have that. In fact, even if you don't have it in your zoning regulations, by statute, you're supposed to have that required referral, even for an aquifer protection area. But that doesn't trump local decision-making. It's a consciousness-raising issue, but it also establishes some things to protect water. It means we're planning for the future protecting water, as opposed to assuming otherwise. So the thing that we're really looking for is that you'd support us to submit the application to DEEP, knowing full well they may deny it, they may approve it, but they'd have a public hearing. So the second part is that we would like to hold the hearing, or at least tell DEEP, if they hold the hearing, to hold it at the town hall here, because it would make sense, so that even the people who I know might be against it, they also participate in the process. Because we're not trying to ramrod anything through here. It's a deliberative process. And in fact, one of the 10 communities in Connecticut that has done a good job is Killingly, because you have the 5 Mile River overlay. This is one of my areas of expertise, since I know what goes on across the state. The only thing I've heard through the rumor mill is there's a thought of eliminating that overlay zone, which is a very good thing to have. So it's not that having this concept is inconsistent with having a overlay that you currently have. In fact, they're very compatible concepts. And the towns that are doing it are really on the leading edge of what's best practice in terms of land use and watershed protection. And by statute, all towns have to look at this issue under Public Act 85-279, which requires every town to consider existing and potential sources of water in their land use planning. However, most towns, maybe only about 15, have actually included the concept of potential in their considerations. So yes, these are progressive ideas, but on the other hand, you can lose a watershed very quickly by not thinking about the details of what goes in there. And so all we're asking for is that you support that, put it forward knowing full well that we could be turned down by DEEP, but at least there'd be a due diligence public hearing. That's basically what it would be.
So what you're doing is, from what you're having, you're looking at getting a public hearing from DEEP.
Yeah.
And then from that, so you're looking to have DEEP accept your application and have a public hearing.
Right.
And
They
then-
have to make it, they may turn it down and say the application's not complete, but assuming we put a complete one in.
Is there a time frame that they have to respond to your application?
Well, they have a March 30th normal cycle for doing these applications. So our objective would be, and I have a meeting with them on the 2 days, is it from now, to go over the proposal, because I've already gone over this concept with the DEEP staff, but that staff retired. And so the new people know nothing about it because they're up there on the, higher on the echelon and don't deal with the details. But in principle, I'm sure they'll go forward with an application if it's considered complete. And then it's just a question of discussing this, because here's the thing, I'm also on the State Water Planning Council work group called the Watershed Protection Work Group. So there's some interesting connections I have on this thing. And that meeting is also on Friday, separate issue. And the whole purpose of this is that as a state, what we're looking at is ways that we can improve how we do things. And really where the rubber meets the road is not at the state level. It's right here. Municipal governments are really the ones that have the greatest opportunities to help in this regard. And so I look at this as an opportunity to see just how supportive the state will be. And I'm on both sides of the issue here in one respect, that since I'm on the Watershed Planning Group for the State Water Planning Council, but I do believe this is a good concept. And if they turn it down, well, they turn it down, and you're back. Yeah, you know, the backstop position is just to have your own riparian overlay zone for the Whetstone Brook, like you have for the 5 Mile River. That's another way to do it. But they're not mutually exclusive. That's the important thing to understand.
Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I have a question. I'm a little confused. I see a lot of the same people, you know, asking for this request, interested in having the dam repaired as soon as possible,
Yeah.
as I want to see the dam repaired, as I've said a number of times. What does this have to do that? What's the connection between
Yeah.
this overlay, and how does it get us the money to fix the dam? Can you
Okay,
maybe
well,
elaborate on
the connection is when you have dams that have been breached, you don't have the ability to have buffering during the dry and drought seasons. And so all of these dams have a very valuable purpose for maintaining a minimum stream flow, which then allows you, whether it's going into the aquifer or whether it's into the fact that Whetstone Brook itself has its own aquifer, not that it's being used. So that maintains a minimum stream flow, which is what is necessary when you're looking at watershed protection and water.
So you started to answer,
Yeah.
so I'm very
Yeah.
limited in this area.
Yeah.
So it would make it harder for the dam owner to get a diversion permit? Is that what this is all about? Or
No, it's not about that, but that is a related issue. This is a separate issue from it. But when you look at all the issues that are there, yes, the diversion permit, they're going to need a diversion permit because they took 50,000 gallons of non-consumptive use. And one of the reasons they're going to have to look at it under the diversion permit, they're going to have to look at all the adverse impacts that were caused by doing what they did without permission. That should have been done at the same time that they pulled the dam, and pulled that water out of it. But this is, again, a concept here where DEEP, unfortunately, has multiple departments, and this is a case where the two departments really did not think through the consequences of one action as they affect the diversion permit. And I should tell you, it's not just a diversion permit, but the minimum stream flow regulations are also affected. And that's a law that was passed in 2004 or 5, and the regulations came out in 2011. And you must have minimum stream flow standards. I went through those regulations. I've been involved with this because I was on the Council of Environmental Quality for 8 years, and I was the acting chair during that period as well. So we deal with those issues, and the minimum stream flow standards, that affects this whole issue as well in terms of the Killany Brook, because they have to have a minimum stream flow, and they're not exempted under the stream flow exemption standards if you go through that regulation.
But the issue with the dam and the issue with this, the dam safety was the highest concern.
Right.
So they had to draw it down. I have issues adding more on DEEP's plate.
Well,
We
they're
have-
already on his plate.
We are on his plate.
Yeah.
We have been on his plate. We have a facility down the road here. We have a moratorium on sewer connections.
Right.
Critical path for the town of Killenly economic development.
Yeah.
It took DEEP 3 months to respond to our request to hire a consultant to look at this. If this doesn't have a bearing on getting the dam fixed,
It does.
I might be a little reluctant to support this because DEP needs, I'm going out on a string here.
Yeah.
But we are, as the sewer is getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
We're finding something like this. This is not critical path, and I'd like to support this.
Well, the
But-
issue, yeah.
But I want to say, from what you're saying, DEP has to act on this within a certain amount of time.
Well, the application has to be put in by a certain amount of time. They don't have to act on it.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out. I'm having, but, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah.
I read in the application that if it is published, then somebody's got to pay for the publication. I assume that would be the town.
Well, actually, the way we were proposing it was that we would even put the stenographer services, a public notice in the newspaper and having the town hall available. If the town would actually just make the town hall available, the cost of stenographer and the cost of the notice in the paper, I understand that Justin would take care of. And now, if you want to pay for that, fine, but we thought that that's not what, at this point, with all the money I hear you're doing on the school roof, that's the last thing you want to worry about. So really, the cost there is if you'd make the room available, and then the issue about even debating all of these issues can be handled at that public hearing.
So they would want to have the hearing before they would actually rule on accepting it.
Exactly. This could take a while to do because I'm sure that they'll want to make sure that all these stakeholders are involved, Connecticut Water Company, Department of Health, all of those groups. The interesting thing about it is if you do the application, and I've gone through this, their application, as I think Justin mentioned earlier, was designed for somebody going from a GA to a GC. GC is where you have degraded water. So I said, well, where's your application for the GA to G? Oh, well, we don't have one. Why don't you just where it says GA to GC, just switch that, and that's all you have to do. I said, well, if that's fine, and then there's a manual of all the things you're supposed to do based on that application. So basically, we've caught them without really having thought through a process at the deep level. However, the value of this, since I'm on the watershed working group, is something that the state is now trying to spend more time doing things that will raise public awareness at the municipal level. But this is more than awareness issues. It gets down to the issue of the value of those reservoirs as a moderating force over the 12 months of the year. It's not that these are two separate issues. They're connected issues. It's just not the only thing that's going on. I mean, the water itself, independent of those, has value, both in the Whetstone Brook stratified drift aquifer portion of it, but also because it does contribute to the Hopkins Aquifer Protection Area.
And just to clarify, this
Well,
application.
Tony was next.
Sorry, this application
Oh, okay.
doesn't fix the dam. The private owners of the dam fix the dam. It's their responsibility. This application recognizes that Killingly's clean water is for Killingly, and it shouldn't be held in a public trust's hands who have no care about what comes out of our faucets. That's the difference.
I think that mine was just on Mr. Rivers. Is you get the reclassification to GAA? Does that help you? Does that help you put pressure on the owner monetarily to fix the dam? And it sounds like
The studies that WISH is going to have to provide with the Clean Water Diversion Act.
Yep.
That they're in violation of are similar studies to what we're asking Commissioner Dykes to put forth with the GAA. So I would imagine the state trying to save money right now would utilize that and see the two environmental impacts.
So does that make more sense, Jim? It is somewhat a path to make sure they're crossing the T's and dotting the I's, that they monetarily would have to take care of this problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it does help it.
Brian, I don't know what staff has looked at into this. Staff has partially looked, to what degree, what financial stake do we have that we have to support this? How does that work? I mean, have you looked at that far, or? I don't want to throw it,
No, it's fine. Somebody has their mic on.
Oh, yeah, here. That would-
So if I understand the request, they're asking us to support the application and/or make the room available if DEEP determines that there's merit to this application and to host the hearing here. Staff has looked at some of the information that was provided leading up to the agenda packet going out last week and had some concerns about, I think, the breadth of the geography of the area, being the whole basin, because it's pretty extensive, and there's some conflicting land uses and historical uses in there that would run up against the GAA standards. I guess I would suggest if they want to submit their application, they can. We can agree to make the room available, and if there's a public hearing held, we can use that hearing to further refine the discussion and deliberations as to what has merit and what doesn't, as a suggestion.
And this is maybe a foolish question, and this is something that when you put this application, you put it in as a group, just as citizens?
Put it as Justin Fisher.
Okay, I'm just curious. So anyone could put this,
Yes, sir.
can put this in?
If you look at the application, it can be as an individual, it can be a corporation, it can be a business. And so I'm tentatively suggesting Justin do it under his individual name from his address, but that it'd be, obviously, it's gonna have to be at a public place, but it makes the most sense to have it right here. Even if Justin pays for the newspaper notice and the stenographer, and then all the, positive and negative can all be worked out. But I think it's valuable to have the discussion, because what it also does, it gets deep involved in a way that they haven't really been properly involved. So it's almost like paying them to show up when you pay. That's what it boils down to.
And then, as far as the future of the dam at Old Killingly Pond, whether it falls into a nonprofit's hands or a municipal, out of a private entity's hands, if this application has merit, the state accepts it, and it gets reclassified, that opens up grants and funds for whoever outside of the private entity. So, just so everybody's aware of that.
Yeah, that is a good point. There is state federal money, Section 319 funding, which is available to those who work on watersheds that are public water supply oriented. Not that you have that, but there's at least 9 watersheds in Connecticut that have nonprofits that have set up, things which are really to improve the watersheds in their areas. It's volunteer stuff, basically.
Go ahead. Is there any downside for us supporting this application?
Well, as I said before, the area that's on that map is extensive, and there's some existing conflicts between what they're proposing for a groundwater quality standard and existing and historical uses. And I think it's just very broad. And I would see that as a potential downside for property owners that could be affected by this downstream. And I think it would be better if they submitted the application, we make the space available, and we can use the public hearing process to deliberate further as to what's appropriate, if DEEP finds that it has merit.
To add to that, that area is quite large and excessive, space in our town. And that should be alarming to how we affect our groundwater, because that's where our groundwater is, the water you cannot see. So it should raise awareness. That's the point of this. We need to start looking at what we can't see to protect the future.
because we can't tell what's in front of us.
It will depend in part about what the purpose will be. If it's to support the Hopkins Aquifer Protection Area, it would be a lot smaller, because then it would be looking at, because they call them primary areas. Well, that's administrative fiction, because there's secondary areas. That's the whole Hopkins, the Whetstone Brook and 5 Mile River. So they picked what they thought, and they called them primary areas. So that could definitely be one of the things that comes out of it. The other, it could be for a lot of towns like where I live in Ashford, 99.9% of the town is in public water supply watershed. And nobody had any say about it. Of course, it was created back in the 1920s before they even had any rules. They just said, this is what it looks like. So you've got places all over where people have, and that's only in the cases where somebody has a water utility, essentially. Anything in that case where those lines become bigger. So in some sense, it might be if Connecticut Water Company says, my God, this is a great idea. On the other hand, if Public Water, Connecticut Water Company just wants to keep to their aquifer protection area, they may do exactly what you just, the town manager just said, they can truncate it. So, but it's really, what I think is most important, it creates a dialogue. And whatever DEEP decides to do, at least there's a good discussion on these issues. And I think it's definitely worth doing. And what they decide is not up to me, I can tell you that. But this is an important concept, especially with the kind of contamination we have. I should tell you from the study I did about a year and a half ago, got a lot of statewide coverage. I do know from the statistics there were 144,000 gallons of spills in Killingly over the 25-year period of the spill reporting to DEEP, or DEP at the time. So these things are reasons why it is valuable to think, for the future.
And you said that the current zones that we have, the
Rural development and medium density.
yes, you said the other zones would not be affected by it. And there were, I know it's mostly rural and a medium density and a few business and.
Yeah, I ran the numbers on this, and the rural development and the medium density development represent 99% of the entire Whetstone Brook drainage basin. But there are those exceptions. There's a little snippet of the business park. There's a snippet of the heavy industrial, just as it comes westward. And then there's a little bit of general commercial up by the area where we've got the warehouse up there on Putnam, just a snippet of that. And then there's the village commercial zone, which is over going towards Old Killingly Pond area. Those are the ones that represent less than 1% of the entire drainage basin. So I can tell you in many towns in Connecticut, they have far more than that. So it isn't a zone per se, it's how they're managed that is the key.
So I have to agree with Justin that we need to protect our water because once it's gone, it's gone. And we can't keep doing the wrongs of the people before us, all the people that brought the mills and all of the pollution and ground pollution from all of the chemicals, oils. We need to protect our resources. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for the town council to endorse and support Killingly Clean Water Coalition for their submittal of the reclassification of the Whetstone Bridge drainage basin from GA to GAA. So we will endorse and they will submit. Thank you.
Ed, do we know if there's a timeline? Do we have to do it tonight?
The application is due at the end of the month.
Okay, one concern I would have is Well, some of the comments made by town staff already, but also I think something like this, when we're dealing with two governments, there's going to be a lot of legal questions, and I would like a formal opinion from our town attorney as well before I make that kind of decision.
I kind of, Mr. Chair.
When you speak.
Oh, yeah, okay, I concur, Councilor Cicilline.
Mr. Chair, I agree with the town manager, and, you know, they can submit the application, and we can hold the town meeting. We can make this space available for any public hearings, and we'll move on from there, because Lord knows the state does not move. I mean, we know how fast the state moves, so like, this could be, you know, we have a lot of things, other things that are pressing, particularly, you know, the roof and other things.
This
so.
is only an endorsement. It doesn't have anything pressing to do with the town council.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to maybe further clarify what your comments were on this issue. I think that there's a lot on the plate, you know, DEP with the water pollution control, but if we're going to some point ask for assistance in some way from the state on the dam, you ask for too much, and and when you put your name, the council puts their name, you can't fire off those support letters and off the copier, because you got to prioritize things. And when they see something, if this is what they see, they may assume that's what they should work on or put funding into it or whatever it might require. I'm concerned that we have barely talked about how we're getting that dam fixed. And I am a little frustrated. It's my last night. I'm a little frustrated. And this is another whole thing. Like, it's a pretty extensive ask, and we're going to ask of DEP with our name on it. It might not take much work from the council, but you're teeing this up as a priority perhaps within the agency, whether it's time, funding. They think this is important to the council. If they see us vote on a resolution supporting this, or it's going to look important to them. And now other things that are important to us may, you know, you can't ask for everything. So that would be my concern. And maybe with more effort into this, there may be something to do here, but there is an awful lot more that has to be studied here as well.
Could I ask whether there be an interest in just making some motion to emphasize how important water is to Killingly, as opposed to, because we know we can make the application without your support anyway. That's not the real issue here. But the whole issue is, you know, raising the awareness of the importance of water, and whether you don't have to support this application, because that will happen through its own course. So it's really about trying to, you know, put some attention to the issue of water quality protection in Connecticut in general, and Killingly in specifics.
I'll make that motion that Killingly looks at clean water and our water sources as important resources.
Go ahead, Dave. Would it do us any good to take this to the Inland Wetlands Commission to see if they think we should support it?
Well, I think Councilor Cicilline was talking about we should have the attorneys review some of this, because there are some inconsistencies. I mean, we are, I think we should put it to the town attorney. If there are some differences, if they can support it, they can go on their own. But if we are on it now, I'm hearing there's potential, if we have potential liabilities, maybe at this point it's a rush. It's unfortunate that the application has to be in by March 30th or whatever that date happens to be.
For the
I
record,
know
you guys
clean-
have had
clean-
this application for a few months now. I've presented it to both you, Dave, Brian, with Gene Laro, and Al as well. So you guys have already, the three of you have already seen this application. So time is, yes, of the essence, but just saying.
At this point, I guess there is no action.
Thank you.
Item 9, council and staff comments. Well, one comment, we're talking about the dam, and Old Kinley Pond Dam, but no one has brought up the Edie Prey Dam, that DEP was supposed to do issues with that, and that's fallen by the wayside. There's been no final determination as to what's going on with that. So it's all part of the same watershed, and I think some pressure should be on DEP with regard to that also, but. As far as the issues with the warehouses, Planning and Zoning Commission have opened public hearings, so that is a area that would have a bigger impact. I mean, we can hear the comments, but you have to go to DEP and the wetlands. They are regulatory bodies. They act on that. So I think you have to, it's not, I appreciate you coming here, but the action is at DEP. I mean, the action is at wetlands and at planning and zoning. So we have to keep putting the forces on them, go through the regulations and bring forward the concerns with respect to how the regulations affect those particular applications. Any other comments?
As far as planning and zoning is concerned, I can't talk about the application. I can just tell you that at the last meeting, they wanted another independent party to review it. That's all I can say.
Jim?
You want to go?
You can go, right?
I'm going to take about half an hour, so you might want to go first. It's my last night. I got to use it. So I want to talk about dams, and I want to talk about the warehouse project. The dams. To tell you a story, my experience with dams is limited just as a leader, not as an engineer. But when I was the first selectman in Pomfret, there's about 40 acres that abuts the Quinnebog River on the Pomfret side. That is around the Rogers Dam. Is there another name for that dam, or is it just called the Rogers Dam? Rogers Dam, and we were going to get the property from Rogers Corporation for $1 for nothing. So I did some investigating. Okay, I wanted to know what responsibilities the town might have, and I approached a few people that knew a lot about that sort of thing, and I disengaged fairly quickly. Because there would be some significant liability, because obviously you're responsible for repair. But in those conversations, some of the conversations revolved around, well, sometimes they just take the dam down. Sometimes that's putting it back to nature is the way to go. So I guess the answers are not as clear sometimes about, there's a lot of things other than just watershed. There's other environmental concerns, and I guess I know that's the direction that everybody seems to be heading, and I'm a little worried that we're overthinking this. For me, this is about money. We need to fix the dam. We need to get the water back in the pond, and we have an owner on the hook for the moment. The town manager and staff and DEP are working through getting that individual that's responsible for it to repair it and not burden other municipality, the state, or the other landowners. It's his responsibility, or that organization's responsibility, and we're trying to get it through that course. Now, I've said this to maybe to a few of the folks here already on the side, and I didn't want to say this out loud because you don't want to show the other side what your hand is, but it is my last night. This seems like this is headed to some sort of public-private partnership of some kind. I don't know who all the partners are going to be, but state's got deep pockets. I don't know how much interest there's going to be from the town. You've got an owner here that may want out and may want to do a deal and may throw some money on the table to get out of it to try to one last ditch effort to fix it. You've got landowners that may want to create an association, and that occurs in some areas. And you could put all that together, and that's I think how this is going to end up to fix that dam. It has to be fixed. It's a roadway too to get to a number of these homes. So I see all the other stuff, but I just feel like that's noise. I think we need to get money, and the way to get money is first bleed this guy as much as we can and put as much pressure as we can on him, and that may include expressing to the state of Connecticut, who's making these evaluation, that diversion permit, how important it is for that dam to stay the way it is. So that's my 2 cents on the dam. On the warehouse project, I'm not going to weigh in. I haven't seen any of the hearings. I think it's an open matter. But just generically speaking about projects like this, because I've seen a lot of them, including this particular developer, someone I'm somewhat familiar with. He's a smart guy, and he's there to make money. He's not there to throw things against the wall. I don't think any name of any occupant has been mentioned in any of these hearings or even in town as a rumor. My take on this, when this gets further down the road, and maybe it already is further down the road, and you have to go to traffic at DOT, it takes a long time to get through that. And I'll tell you what, talk in my offices, it's going to be a tough haul to get approved from traffic, because this is going to be a tough way in and out of that place at the intersection, or either intersection that you choose to go to. And these projects have a way of dying if it doesn't look like it's worth the trouble. And I don't know if this one's going to die, but it seems like it could be heading in that direction when you put up enough costs up front and you don't have a suitor or an occupant ready at the ready. And if this developer doesn't have that, it's going to change the equation pretty quickly. If that happens, if this applicant does withdraw, I would quickly move, including the council, and we don't put our thumb on the scale at planning and zoning. They have to make their own decisions. They have legislative responsibility as well as judicial. But I would quickly move to remove the warehouse possibility from that zone. I believe there was work done on that quite a few years ago, that was going to be a mixed-use area to continue more or less what you see in that area, housing, shops, some retail. I would move quickly to make a referral to the Planning and Zoning Commission, if they're not already thinking about it, if the application is withdrawn, and that we get that removed through a text amendment or a change of zone or whatever it's going to take. I'm not familiar with what the zone is there. So that's what I would recommend to the council beyond application withdrawn. So that again, that could happen next month. It could happen at another time. But you got to stay on top of these things. And I, as a resident of Alexander's Lake and have grown up here all my life, to see 3 smokestacks, to hear 100 refrigerator trucks every night in the summer buzzing away at United Natural Foods and smell. I like the hamburger buns and the potato chips. Those, I'll keep those. But somebody along the way said it's a good idea to have an industrial park and a power plant right next to one of the nicest bodies of water, cleanest bodies of water in the state of Connecticut, maybe the country. So we don't want that to happen again. We do need development. I'm not against development, but it needs to be in the right place. I don't think a warehouse right there personally is a good spot. I am also a resident. My occupation is right across the street. I drink that water coming off those roofs. I'm not trying to say I'm biased. I just think that's a terrible place for that type of project. I'm not weighing in on this gentleman's application. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what he's done with it. But again, I hope they change the zoning if this applicant does withdraw. Anyway, those are my comments.
Any other comments regarding the public participation? Dave?
I like the letter on to the library using as a warming shelter. I think that's a pretty good idea. I don't know who monitors the one down here in 102 and how that worked out. I'd want to find out about that before I got deep into this, of trying to find someone that would be willing to volunteer to be there.
Do you want me to respond to that?
I don't think anybody's against providing them a space to get warm when it's cold, but it does make people uncomfortable. There are inadvertent burdens caused by what people do in that room, and it is a public place, and a lot of the things that go on there are inappropriate and make people uncomfortable. So to expand that at the library, I don't think that the library would be in support of that. We're not trained as social workers. We're not here to be social workers. And we have things to do during the day, and having to worry about whether somebody's ODing in the room downstairs is not something anybody signed up for when they came to work here.
I'll piggyback on Brian's comment. I have several people in my district that are afraid to go to the library and no longer frequent the library because of the homeless population and what goes on there.
Any other comments regarding the public comment? Okay. Moving on.
You might.
I shut it off. Sorry about that. Okay, we're looking, report from liaison, the Borough Council liaison. Tammy, you're up.
So Borough, just same, continues on, the fire commissioners are continuing to work on the applications they received for fire chief. They've also been working their way through our standard operating, what used to be guidelines, and now we're making them policies. Slowly making our way. It's quite a hefty book. They haven't been updated, and I think it was like 20 years, so they do need to have a good review. We actually have a borough workshop on our budget tomorrow night at second floor of the fire station, if there's any borough residents. And then next week, next Wednesday, the 18th, is our regular meeting where the budget will be presented to all the residents in the borough. So everybody's encouraged, any borough resident that'd like to find out what's going on. Our budget year is probably going to be just as tight as the town's. A lot of our expenses have increased exponentially from last year's budget throughout even this, so we're actually going to probably end up having to dip into some of our reserve accounts. Just because we have more expenses that we weren't expecting, so.
Okay, that's what you, okay, moving on. Discussion and acceptance of monthly budget reports. 12A, summary report on general government appropriations for town government. Do
I'd
I
like to
have a
make the
motion?
motion to accept.
Second.
Motion by Ula, second by Tony. Any discussion? Motion by Ula, second by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. System object based on adjusted budget for Board of Education. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Same motion by Ula, second by Tony. Any comment? Oh, sorry about that. I did. I did. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Okay, moving on. Town managers report.
Thank you. Our wastewater facility planning process is underway. we're going to be meeting with Brooklyn in the near future to start negotiations for their interconnection agreement. That agreement expires at the end of 2026 and calls for us to start negotiations throughout the year. So we'll be starting that soon. Happy to report we got our interim agreement back from Frito-Lay. We'll be meeting with our council in the morning to go over that, and hopefully it'll be presented to WPCA at their meeting next week for approval, which would open the pathway for the negotiations with Brooklyn and also to provide relief to the sewer moratorium that's currently in place. On the PFAS front, DEEP is continuing to get test results in from their third round. They are planning a fourth round of testing that'll expand into the Alexander Lake area. They're also circling back and testing the well systems, retesting the well systems that were installed earlier this year to ensure that they're working. We also had a meeting with Connecticut Water to open discussions about the potential for extending their water mains to serve some of the residences that are affected by the PFAS contamination. They're open to doing that. There's an agenda item on later this evening to authorize a grant application to further look at that. Regarding the dam, the Wish owner responded to DEEP a couple weeks ago, said that they were going to apply for a general permit to remove the slide gate essentially and leave the water level where it is. We did have a meeting with the outgoing assistant director who retired at the end of February, who clarified that he didn't believe a diversion permit was necessary. It was only a general permit. There was some back and forth and emails and correspondence between the owner and DEEP. They requested an extension of time that was granted by DEEP, so they have another 45 days to put their team together and get that permit in. Continuing to do work on the fiscal 26-27 budget. I should have that to you by next Friday. We have a series of meetings set up the following week. I've distributed tonight the human services portion of the budget because that's complete. That's not an area that the town manager typically touches, but it's reviewed by the council. So one of the reasons I'm giving that to you in advance is so you can give me feedback about who you'd like to meet, and I can set those meetings up for the following week after my budget introduction. And other than that, just waiting for the school budget and working on finalizing my budget, and you'll have a full binder next Friday. Grand list has been filed for 2025. We saw growth of 1.75%, which is pretty good considering that we're under a sewer moratorium. Most of the the real estate growth was in the residential area, understandably, with also healthy growth in personal property and the commercial accounts. Lastly, I was approached by NDDH. They were tasked by Council of Governments to put together an opioid task force. There's some presentation materials related to that attached to my report. But I guess as a heads up, they're going to be coming before the council to talk about that more at a future meeting, and they'll also be looking for you to make a commitment for any future opioid funds to that cause. Also attached to my report, there's a recommendation, and I think it is coming in the pipeline as it would relate to the budget and town meeting to complete a land purchase for preservation purposes on North Road. So there's some maps in there, and I think that's going to go to the Open Space Acquisition Committee later this month, and that might get funneled back to you in April for your consideration. And that's all I have. And I apologize, I'm losing my voice. I've got a cold.
My finger's gonna. Consideration of Main Street segments and Davis Park security cameras by Public Safety Administrator Francis Conroy. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Tony. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, second by Dave.
Was Dave, the town engineer, supposed to do the sewer moratorium update, or is he just?
Well, that's,
Dave's here in support of the drinking water application and
Oh,
the
okay.
clean water application. Buddy, do you want to come up?
yep, oh, yeah, that's just gonna.
So I think we left off on this item last month. Just looking for feedback on the proposal for putting cameras on Main Street and the Davis Park area to support law enforcement. They're not intended to be surveillance cameras, but they're intended to be cameras that we can go check if somebody reports an incident. And there was some discussion at the last meeting about funding that instantaneously. We weren't necessarily looking for that. I do have funds built into the proposed budget to address the issue if the council's so inclined. And we also left off in the discussion of having a draft policy that would address how the cameras were used. And our public safety administrator is here to speak to that tonight. Buddy?
Oh, Mike.
Yeah, forget that. Lucky 13. Yep, there's the draft policy. It talks about mission, the policy, how it be used, the procedures, who can monitor it, how they can monitor it, how they can request something to be stored for longer than 30 days if they needed it. Talks about system misuse by anybody. Goes over, public spaces, audio, talks about all those intricate things people worry about. Like I said, it would only be used when somebody brings something to our attention. I could speak to things on Main Street. One time we had a rash of BB guns shooting out windows. That's something this would have helped greatly with. We would look at it then, and occasionally would go in and check, make sure it's functioning.
So currently you have those on Main Street and Davis Park. What if other businesses are requesting cameras, which is at the town's expense? Or is it going to be limited to this area?
Right now, it's just limited to this area. People on Main Street actually had an interest, and they kind of brought it to our attention. We could look at any other business too. We'd have to see, would it fit in the system? Is there a need in that area? So it wouldn't be just a yes. You'd have to do some research and make sure it fits into what we want it to do.
This is John. I have a question. Has this been reviewed? Has this been reviewed by the town attorney? And last year there were funds available for communities for this kind of activity. Are we looking into those?
The draft policy hasn't been forwarded to the town attorney yet, and I wasn't aware of any grants for this.
Okay. There was a federal grant available up until a certain time last year. It's expired.
So I did read through this. It's pretty in depth. I mean, I think if there was any concerns people would have about privacy, I think it's well addressed in here. Unless something happens, we're probably never even going to look at the feed.
That's the way it usually works. I did this at the high school when I was campus security. I looked at the cameras if there was an issue. Like one time we had 5 laptops stolen. So I got on the cameras and found out who took them and recovered them. So that's what it's used for.
Yeah. So I think this is definitely has a time, particularly with the Brickyard projects finally is going to be kicking off. Supposed to be breaking ground hopefully in another month or so, and that'll mean just more foot traffic, and just we want to bring people downtown. We want them to go to our businesses. I mean, we got a great assortment of businesses finally on Main Street. We want people to feel safe, so I think this is a great, and thank you very much for all the work you put into this.
Any other comments?
No, just as long as it's not for surveillance, I'm okay with it. For security, yes. Surveillance, no. Big Brother, no.
And this is a line item that's going to be in the budget for us review to, anyway, so.
Well, that's
I mean,
what
there
we
was a
can
big-
discuss. We can look at as a line item in the budget, or we can look at it to pursue it.
Yeah, I
at
think
this
we've
time.
already had,
I think we want to pursue it as a line item in the
Yes.
budget. That's what
I believe that's kind of how we were leading last meeting, yes.
And then public, because I'm seeing some other people outside of outside of Main Street are looking at the town is supporting, is paying for something, it should be, you know, kind of, we should make this offer to other entities outside of the central business district. Dave?
Excuse me, but the businesses are contributing by allowing us to use their internet.
Yes, sir, they're supplying power and their Wi-Fi.
And so what we're basically paying for is the cameras and the recorders?
Yeah, DVD and cameras.
And where will that be recorded?
It'll be on a server. I'm not sure where we would put the server yet. Could be at the police station, it could be here. Would make sense to be here because the server would be close to the cameras.
In here in the town hall, you mean?
Yes.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman, I had left the room, but is there a motion on this yet?
Yes.
No. Okay.
What's the motion?
Dave, we're looking at
So we're in discussion on.
Main Street, the cameras on Main Street.
And what was the motion? Just to discuss?
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta get weigh in on that.
Sure, go ahead.
It's my turn. Is anybody else? So I asked last meeting to move this along. It sounds like the town manager has some funding somewhere available for this project right now. I've heard some of the points from some of you and certainly the public. We had a program in Wyndham before I left that we had put $100,000, I don't know if it's still there, but $100,000 a year to continue to expand cameras throughout the city. You start with the most populated areas with the highest need might be, highest traffic, whatever you're looking for, issues you might be looking for. And it seems that the place to start a camera program, if that's what it becomes, I don't know if it'll go any further, but would be where the most concern is, where the most people are, the center of town, whatever that is. And this seems like the right place to start, and I think we should, this is a long time coming, as I said last meeting, and you know, we can continue to delay this and poke it around, but it is $35,000 in the scheme of what police officers cost and benefits and what have you. It's a small investment to get a whole lot of bang out of, I hate to say that word, but to get a lot out of this, it seems like it's overdue. And again, if there isn't a motion, I'm going to make a motion to approve up to $35,000. I know the old quote is 25 and change if you add it all together, right?
Almost 26, yes.
I'm going to make a motion to approve this now and to have direct the town manager and the administrator to move the project forward. I know you could put it in the budget, but it's just more and more thing in the budget that's going to add to the tax levy, you know, when you're calculating the mill rate for this other upcoming budget. So I'd like personally take it out of the budget and you just, you know, immediately cross off 35,000 or whatever was planned for. But I'm going to make that motion to approve that 35,000 right now.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
Can I add to the motion that this be approved by the town council?
I didn't get that, John? What, repeat that, John?
I would like to add to that motion that whatever documents we are considering be reviewed with and approved by our legal counsel.
I have,
Go ahead, Tammy.
so we have a motion, we have a second. So, I mean, we have this policy that this draft policy is pretty much complete. By rights, we could submit this to the town attorney for.
Yeah, I would just tweak a few things.
Okay. About how long do you think it would take to get the equipment and then getting that stuff, getting it installed and stuff?
I'm not sure with lead times on some products.
Okay.
It's changed a lot with tariffs and things
Yeah.
such as that. I can speak to when we did the police building, it was like 2 weeks to get the equipment we needed, but that was some time ago.
Okay.
Could I
So-
make a suggestion?
So I guess to be clear, the motion on the floor is to implement this now versus waiting for it to go through the budget cycle.
I was just going to suggest, if you're going to vote in the affirmative on the funding, that we have the policy, because it's only a draft, and I've only skimmed it, and the town attorney hasn't looked at it, that we have the town attorney take a look at the policy, do a legal review, and have the policy come back for a separate vote before this is implemented, separate from the decision on the appropriation.
I'm generally in favor of this, but I'm not in favor of the funding of it now. I think we need a little bit more deliberation, especially on the policy, and that'll all jive together come about May. But doing it now and rushing it through, while I appreciate the urge, I don't think it's prudent or practical. So I'm gonna vote no for the funding now. But if it was, let's put it through the budget process, I'm totally cool with that.
I'll second that. And I'm in line with that. I think it should go through the budget process.
We have a motion on the floor now, so we'll have to come to a vote.
Yeah, we're gonna, right, we'll bring it to, any other comments? All in favor of approving, implementing
Can we
this-
have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, there we go.
Just separate question. Didn't we have to do a roll call with every vote last time?
We did, because John was on my phone, so he's on
Okay.
live, so now we have a little bit different, yes. So we're saving a lot of time in this bit. Okay, we need a roll call vote. What's that? Oh,
David Griffiths? Jim Rivers?
Yes.
Tammy Wakefield?
Yes.
Tony Giambattista?
Yes.
Willatique Barclay?
No.
Jonathan Cessalini?
No.
John LaBelle?
No.
Ed Grandelsky?
No.
Kevin Kachula?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you all for considering that, and I just want to apologize to my father. After 30 years, we still didn't get it done, Dad. Sorry. Bureaucracy is winning out again.
thank you. Consideration to authorize drinking water state revolving fund loan grant application for water main expansions in the Rogers area. Do I have a motion? So moved.
Mr. Chairman, I believe you skipped an item on 15B, the response for the Board of Ed regarding the intermediate school. Well, we talked about that
We
earlier.
did,
but
we got
yes.
that,
Yes,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Did we move that agenda item up? or is
Yes,
that-
yeah, we
okay.
did. No, that's okay. No,
Yep. All right.
that's fine. No, we're good. We gotta make sure
Just trying to
we're
keep
on the
you in
right.
line here,
Yes,
that's all.
no, that's good. Okay, we have a motion by Dave, a second by Ula, okay.
Can we repeat
Comments?
the motion, please?
The motion is a consideration to authorize drinking water state revolving fund loan grant application for water main extensions in the Rogers area.
What's the value, what's the cost, where are the funds coming from?
Okay, let's have Brian just give us a little bit of discussion on this. Oh,
Thank you. So the business item is a request to authorize us to submit a pre-application to the state of Connecticut to apply for drinking water revolving loan funds, which is usually not a big deal because it's a loan, but in this case, based on the activity being groundwater contamination, PFAS, and Killingly having status as a distressed community, there's an opportunity to pick up a large share of grant funding that's mixed in to this loan fund as a set aside to address groundwater contamination in wells. We don't have costs yet. We're not that far along. This is a pre-application to determine eligibility, and it's based on our discussions with Connecticut Water and their willingness to extend their system to serve the residences that are in the affected areas in Rogers. So it's a bit of a tentative conversation at this point, and if we're determined to be eligible, we'll continue these conversations with Connecticut Water about what the cost of the mains are, what the design process is, what the tie-ins look like. I will say they have made a representation that if there's pre-commitments prior to construction, there will not be a connection fee for the affected residents. Then there's other, detailed conversations about whether there's benefit assessments, and we're just not at that point to get into those details. But we do have an application deadline coming up at the end of the week, and if we want to put our hat in the ring to be considered eligible, this is what we have to do.
So if we approve this action, does it predestine any other actions or prevent us from other funding sources, et cetera?
No, not that I'm aware of. It'll just have us continuing to work on some of the details. I think it's likely that we're going to be considered eligible and be invited to submit a full application. So if you authorize this, we're going to continue to march down that path to take the next step when we're asked to do so. And that decision will have to come back before the council. So,
is there a motion on the floor? Then I'll make it to approve.
Yeah. Okay, we have a motion by Dave and a second by Ulla, so we're. Go ahead, Jim.
Continue the conversation. So just to restate this, it looks like on a preliminary basis, the lateral connections for the residents would be included in the project. I saw the map, which was encouraging because I hadn't seen anything that looked like a plume map yet, and that was what I suspected based on talking to residents, because you could kind of piece it together. It looks like it goes downhill, sort of, follows the river. That's probably the flow of underground water systems in that area. Do we think, there's water beyond that. I believe there's water in parts of Rogers already. This is city water, right? So beyond that, do we think it goes any further than that, or is that too early to tell? I know there's a meeting in April. Or
yeah, I think we're going to find that this area is going to continue to grow. I think you're going to find PFAS.
You could, again,
it's going to continue.
You
to
map
grow
that
outwards.
out. It sounds like it's going southeast. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think in some areas, butting up toward the dotted line, there already is a water system.
In some areas.
In some areas,
you get to
not
Maple
all.
Street.
Yeah.
Is there water on Maple Street? Yes. There is, okay. So maybe we're covered beyond, the rest of the.
I think as they go north along the lake, they're gonna get a lot of hits.
Some of my neighbors said that was not, they did not have a hit.
Well, that's great.
That's great.
That's great.
But stuff runs downhill. So if that area of concern, by the, Cotton Bridge area, I was going to say the name of a farm. I shouldn't do that. If that's the area of concern, I think most of us know that's the most probable source. It does make sense the direction that it's heading. So.
Aye.
All in favor? What was that, John?
I haven't heard anything in about a minute.
Oh, my mic. Okay, we will do this again. All in favor, now that my mic is on.
Aye.
John?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. All right.
Put this here. Uh, 15D, consideration to reauthorize lease negotiations with Green Skies for solar arrays at the landfill 246 Brick House Road. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
Motion by Ula, second by Tony. Discussion.
Is there more detail about that negotiation?
We had approved it several years ago, but they weren't able to hook up, or it was too expensive. So they weren't able to put up the solar array.
Yeah, they couldn't get the three-phase. The cost of getting three-phase to the landfill was, yeah, the cost of getting the three-phase to the landfill was not cost-effective at that previous time. Go ahead. Dave?
I have concerns about the line. They say 1.5 miles. And then they come to the house and they go around the house and in the back where our conservation area is. I don't know what kind of electricity you get in three-phase. Do you get any type of radiation off of the line?
I can't really answer that. I don't know.
Well,
This would be a buried cable?
what was it?
John, what's that again, John?
Is this cable going to be buried?
I think that has to be determined.
Okay. For myself, I need more information to weigh in on this. So I will abstain from voting.
I think it's a good idea. I just want to know. So that means the three-phase must be on what road that it's connecting into?
I think
Bailey Hill
there's-
Road?
I think there's a note on the map.
It says 1.5 miles.
Yeah. My map is too small to read.
Assuming it connects up.
Yeah.
It,
Cranberry Bog.
to me, it seems strange it wouldn't go right in front of the house and right up through. Why it would cross over into the conservation area and go around the house for a reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this is not set in stone. It's a schematic to depict the idea. I don't know. I can't answer your question about whether it's buried or not. I would assume that the line would not be buried, that it would be run on the poles because that's a cheaper cost generally, and the utilities generally have in the past taken the position that they're opposed to burying a line like that because of the maintenance costs. We're not looking for a final decision tonight. This is not a final layout. This is a concept being presented. It was presented to you a few years ago, and it was authorized to enter into negotiations with a third-party company through Titan. At the time, the lease rate was going to be $45,000 a year. They ran into unrecoverable costs with the Phase 3 connection, and the project was abandoned. And we have an ongoing relationship with Titan Energy because they manage some of the solar credits on the other solar panels that we have, and we got reapproached. They said now the Phase 3 cost run is recoverable, so maybe this makes more economic sense. So they bid it with their people, and they came back with a bid rate of $92,000 a year. I think, from here, you'd be authorizing the concept and authorizing the negotiations. And I guess it's a way of me asking you if you want to do this, because in my experience, negotiating with these companies can be protracted. It takes multiple years to come back and see the solar field developed. They'll promise you $92,000 now. They'll build contingencies into the lease. And as we go along, they'll come back and they'll chisel away at the lease price. So I don't want to just say no to $92,000, but I also don't want to paint a rosy picture that in 3 years we're going to get $92,000 a year. I think it'll be less than that. And there'll be a lot of details that'll have to be worked out, and the lease would have to come back here.
A question, this is John. Have they predicted the amount of electromagnetic current that would be emanating from this line?
I mean, this is just to negotiate. I mean, we might not, at the end of the negotiations, decide that we don't want to do it. I mean, it's just you authorizing us to sit down and just listen to their proposals and get more facts. I mean, otherwise, we're just throwing suppositions out there that we don't have answers to, that you're not gonna get until you get into your negotiations.
I agree with Tammy.
I agree with Tammy, and Mr. Chairman, just, if you want to know how much is flowing through that wire, it's 5 megawatts, right? Is that the size of the system? Was it 5?
4,800 Delta.
There you go. So, and just to put that in perspective, the system at the end of Woods Hill Road is 20 meg. So it's 4 times the size of this system, I believe. And they did put a dedicated line in, and it is above ground. It ran along the high voltage wires up to Route 101, and then it joined onto the regular power poles all the way. They had to go to the other station, actually, which is further away than the Brooklyn station, but you built that. And was it a capacity issue in Brooklyn? Is that why they went that way, or was it easier just to connect on that side? Then it's longer to the. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. All right, sorry for the engagement, Mr. Chairman. I was excited to get additional information. Anyway, that's what I know.
Dave, you were saying something about where the line is gonna go? I don't see it.
That's your line, and it goes up and around the house and over here. It's okay to enter into negotiations, but it's interesting. When we did kelp, we couldn't do things under the high tension line. So I'm just trying to make sure.
Property line.
See how it goes up and over? Into the conservation area.
Wetlands.
This is John. I don't see any harm in having an informal meeting to obtain more information.
Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Moving on. Consideration to reauthorize Clean Water Fund application for wastewater facility plan. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Tammy, second by Ula. Discussion.
I'm not gonna gain anything by this, but as I talked to the town engineer before, the odor is unbelievable. Not only for the customers of Big Y and the school and the residents down there, it just seems very difficult if we're trying to really get more people to come downtown to shop, and we have such an odor problem. And I realize that some of it is because of where it is located, and some of it is because we're having those open settlement containers that's bubbling off and giving us some of it. I for years tried to get a handle on the odor and not to solve it one little bit. Town manager would like to speak. Oh.
So the business request is to reauthorize our Clean Water Fund application for the planning grant that we've already been awarded for the wastewater facility process that we're already doing. We were directed to have the application reauthorized and resubmitted. And that's what we're asking again tonight, as silly as that seems.
Has the town attorney reviewed the document?
No, it's a grant application. There's really nothing, I think, of interest for legal review. And we've already submitted this application twice before and entered into the agreement that affects it.
I'll support that.
Repeat that, John?
I will support that. I'm in agreement with the town manager.
Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay. Consideration and possible action regarding host purchase and sale agreement with Any Edge LLC for town property at 125 Alexander Parkway. And I believe this is an item that, executive session, and we also have another 15G, consideration of possible action regarding Dable Property Development LLC. So I would recommend at this time we reset the agenda, and we will go to executive session to discuss these two items.
Motion to go into executive session.
With,
Second the motion.
Who are we including?
The town manager.
Also, executive session motions have to specify exactly what we're going to executive session for by the moving party.
discussion regarding host purchase and sale agreement with New England Edge LLC for town property at 125 Alexander Parkway, and assessment appeal, Dable Property Development LLC versus Town of Killingly.
Is this litigation?
So included town manager, town attorney, economic development. And do we cover all the bases? What's that? Jen, okay, and the finance director. That's good.
What is it? Is it litigation? What is it?
We'll find out in executive session.
That's,
You have to indicate before you go in.
discussion regarding the purchase and sale agreement. And then we're going, and we're discussing the
So
assessment appeal.
both of them are sale agreement?
No. One's the sale, purchase and sale agreement, that's the New England Any Edge LLC, and Dable Property LLC is an assessment appeal. Okay? So we will be going into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, you need a two-thirds vote.
Excuse me, John?
You need a two-thirds vote.
You have to have a vote.
Oh. Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries to go into executive session. Okay, okay. You guys, this thing is